call this meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners to order.
She's doing her thing.
Grace, please take roll. She did.
Alderperson Chandik Cutter.
Here.
Alderperson Definite Ledvina.
Here.
Randy Soki.
Present.
Ryan Jennings.
Here.
Jim Kneisel.
Here.
Connor Mason.
Here.
Connor Goodman.
Here.
James Lyga.
Here.
And Alderperson Esser Khan and Melissa Thiel-Collar are excused.
Thank you, Grace. Public comments. Public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Board of Park Commissioners. So is there anyone who wishes to address the board under public comments for something not on the agenda? Ryan Jennings.
All right. Well, today is my last day on the park board. So it's my last park board meeting, and I'm proud of all the work that this group has done and has accomplished in the 7 years that I've been part of this board. My stepping aside will allow another citizen to step up, share their unique perspective. It's kind of hard to figure out when it's time to go. It will also allow me to pursue some other projects I've been sidelining. I'm preaching to the choir here, but what we do matters. Along with our fine schools, the parks are probably the biggest attraction and reason to live in De Pere, and yet the parks have one of the smallest budgets. So it's easy to fixate on what we haven't done and overlook just how much the Parks Commission has accomplished. And in the few years I've been here, we've put in several urban orchards, a community garden. We've overhauled many, many playgrounds. We designed and built the VFW aquatic facility. And on July 26th, I believe, if I'm right on that, next Friday afternoon, we'll commission the Nelson Family Pavilion in Voyager Park. That's going to be quite a party, and the public is invited. But I feel the biggest accomplishment is how well the Parks Department has maintained our parks in such fine condition in the face of rising costs of labor, contractors, and capital equipment. This was evident back in 2018 when we were planning the VFW pool, and the contractor, the consultant said every 6-month delay would be something like a 6% increase of the build cost. So things were really skyrocketing back in 2018, and that was really shocking. It had a little bit of a chilling effect. But anyway, so I'm proud of the work that we've done and how well we've maintained and improved our parks. All of this is to say that I'm very grateful for being part of this thoughtful group of people working for the betterment of our parks. I'm also grateful to the community members that attend meetings, like yourselves, and provide their insight. It's more fun having people here than it is when it's empty. And thanks to all the generous donors who have funded many of the improvements and activities that the budget just couldn't bear. So my sincere thanks to you, Marty, and the Parks Department staff who actually do all the work. And to my fellow commissioners, thank you.
Well said.
Ryan, on behalf of the Park Board, I want to thank you for your dedication over the 7+ years to the city and all of our parks. So thank you, Ryan. All right, last call, public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Okay, next up, items. Item number 1, consideration and possible action to approve the Board of Park Commissioners minutes from the June 20th, 2024 meeting.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second to approve. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, farewell from Teen Advisor Connor Goodman. Connor Goodman, it's been a fun 2 years.
It really has.
Your turn to say goodbye.
So my speech isn't going to hold a candle to what you guys just heard. I've been a part of this board for 2 years. I've represented the west side, the best side of the pier. It's been really, really fun. I've gotten to see how political processes work firsthand, when they work, when they don't. I've seen many projects like Nelson Family Pavilion work, and many projects get halted by things that are out of our control, like Nelson Park. Wait, no. Wilson Park. There we go. It's been a blast. I enjoy these meetings so much. I look forward to them every month. After this, I'm going on to Purdue University to study engineering, and I hope it can be as fun as it was here, and that I will take all the lessons I've learned here about people and about things into Purdue and do my best.
All right. Connor, thank you very much for the 2 years on the board. That brings us to item number 3. Welcome to Teen Advisor James Lyga. James, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Hello, I'm James. I go to East De Pere High School, which unlike Connor, I can't say the same, that West is the good side. But now there's 2 teen advisors on the east side, so maybe a little bit of bias, we'll see. But I'm proud to be a student of Mr. Soki last year, and there I learned a little bit about just how some De Pere meetings work, and I watched some online. And obviously I never really met any of you, but I got to know you through watching the meetings. And I'm now excited to join you guys up here and help out the community.
Thank you, James. Welcome. Item 4, consideration possible action to approve the De Pere Ice Arena Facility Condition Analysis Final Draft. Marty, do you want to comment on any,
I mean, I can, but I mean, the memo really says it all. There were very minor changes, some grammatical type things. What you see is just the cleaning up of the document from your last month's meeting.
all right. Any questions for Marty from the board? Motion.
Motion to accept.
There's a motion and a second to accept the final draft. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next item on our agenda is general discussion of the ice arena facility condition analysis. So I believe there are a number of community groups, users of the facility who would like to share some things with us. But before that, Marty, what do you got?
So, yeah, before we get started, just prior to the meeting, you asked for a handful of information, a little bit of background. So I put together just a couple of slides. This isn't going to take long, but it'll just give you a very brief snapshot of the 3 things that I have up on here. A little bit of a snapshot of the general maintenance and cost history over the years, our current lease agreements and what they look like. Now, granted, there are going to be bullet points. I mean, our lease agreement is pages long, but I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of them. And then our core users or / stakeholders of the facility. So with that, over the years, we've done quite a bit over at the ice arena. This is a snapshot of things that the city of De Pere has done. You'll understand a little bit of the magnitude and why what has been done in the numbers when we look at the lease agreement. But as you can see, going back to 2006, which we couldn't find anything prior to that, there's been a number of things, and there's been a handful of big ticket items. I will cover this later, but with our agreement in the operation of the lease, the city is responsible for capital projects over $10,000. So one of the reasons why you don't see a repair for $4,000 or a repair for $7,000 prior to 2012, because that changed, that is on the actual lessor of the facility. So a couple of the big things that have occurred that have obviously triggered many conversations about the ice arena goes back to 2011 when we replaced the chiller plant. Not too long after that, the chiller plant failed, and then we had to do an emergency repair to it. So within a span of, that was 7 years, that's not me, I don't think, by the way. With a span of 7 years, we end up having to pay almost close to $650,000 to get our chiller plant up and running. That's just the chiller plant. But as you can see, there's a number of other things that we've done. We did the bleachers. We did, just looking here, the bleacher replacement. We did the Zamboni replacement. Dehumidification system was done many moons ago, as well as obviously some other things, not as big ticket items. Next, Brown County Ice Management. I thought it'd be important to include this because in our lease agreement, we're responsible for over $10,000 capital projects. They are responsible for anything under 10,000. So if you look at what they have done since they've took over the program, they've done quite a bit. So, you know, our lobby, if any of you have been, one of the probably biggest cosmetic things, maybe not from the actual operation of the rink, but from cosmetically speaking, my kids were in hockey back when the lobby was really bad carpet, really stained ceiling tiles, was just not a fun place to be. And I know when Don came in, they did a big overhaul, and it's actually a mildly pleasant to go in there versus what it was. But they've done a number of other things to improve the facility, you know, within the confines of our lease agreement with them. Next, so a little bit of a summary of our agreement that we have. So again, the city of De Pere owns the De Pere Ice Arena and the property. We lease out operations of the facility to an organization. In 2012, prior to 2012, we worked with a company called Ice Time Management. The city was responsible for projects, capital projects, over $5,000. The management fee, let me start over. A management fee was paid to the city on an annual basis, and that management fee was 50% of the net revenue. So they operated the facility at the end of the year, whatever their net revenue was, they split with the city. That money went into a private account with the city with the sole purpose of funding ice arena projects. Little sidebars to it, the city is responsible, with the lease agreement, the city is responsible for maintenance outside of the facility. So the parking lot is ours. We have to plow the snow. We have to mow the grass. And then we are also responsible for the parking lot utilities. So that was prior to 2012. In 2012, we actually went out to rebid as a good business practice, and we ended up entering into a lease agreement with Brown County Ice Management. So we are currently with them. So from 2012 to present, we've had a current lease with Brown County Ice Management. Over that time, we went through 3 different lease amendments and 2 different extensions. In 2018, if you go back to that repair, in 2018, we actually amended the agreement to implement a surcharge. That is when the chiller plant broke. And there was a cost of $234,000. So the unique part here is the city paid for the repair of the chiller plant. However, the intent of the surcharge was that the users would pay back that cost. So as of last year, the surcharge, which the users have paid, as of last year, the chiller plant has been paid off. So technically speaking, the users paid for the repair of the chiller plant. It's just that the city fronted the money and the users paid them back. So now that surcharge is now going into the ice arena fund, where we were operating at a deficit for many years. We are now starting to gain a little bit, and hopefully we can start looking at future projects. And in case, if you remember the plan, there's a few of them. So, management fee, very similar to the original lease with Ice Time Management. It is 50% of the net profit. However, as I mentioned about the surcharge, so not only is there the management fee, there is also the surcharge that comes to the Ice Arena Fund. One of the, couple of the, I don't want to say major differences, but couple of the differences with the previous lease agreement and the one we have now. Just with the general cost of projects, we raised the capital projects to $10,000. So as I said a couple of times now, the city is responsible for any capital projects over $10,000. Used to be 5, now it is 10. And then also, due to the chiller plant, we do mandate that our current leaseor has a maintenance plan for the chiller plant and mechanical systems, and has documentation and records of that. So that's our current lease. Again, our lease agreement is, between the 3 amendments and 2 extensions, is probably about 14 pages long, and I can get a copy of that for you if you like. However, this is just the real nuts and bolts of it. When it comes to our rink, there's many, many users, but if you look at the core users, and in fact, our lease agreement actually outlines that and gives preferential treatment to core users. But the core users, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Locker room. So we do actually have another lease in relation to the ice arena. On the east side of the rink, there are 2 large fancy locker rooms. Those locker rooms are not the property of the city of De Pere. Many people think they are, they're not. A number of years ago, St. Norbert and the Deacon hockey program went together, constructed or worked out an arrangement with the city, constructed the facility. The facility was owned by them, and it was essentially leased on our property. So they own the facility, but we own the property. They were fully responsible for that facility. Back in 2022, after many, many years of St. Norbert not using the facility, they worked an agreement with the De Pere Voyager Hockey Club to take over their part ownership of that facility. So we are in a lease agreement right now with the De Pere Voyager Hockey Club and De Pere Deacons with regard to those locker rooms. They own them, they operate them, they're responsible for them, but they are on the city of De Pere property. Sorry about getting ahead of myself. Now the stakeholders. So as I said, there are a number of stakeholders that utilize the facility, but there are core users. The core users are De Pere Youth Hockey, De Pere Voyager High School Hockey. They are different organizations. Greater Green Bay Figure Skating Club, and then the De Pere Deacons. Those are your 4 biggest users, and Don Chilson, who from Brown County Ice Management, is here. He's our other stakeholder. They are our leaser, but Don would be able to verify between those 4 core users takes up 90 to 95% of the ice time that's out there. So Don can verify that. From last month's meeting to this month's meeting, I reached out to all of the users, and I asked them to participate in the meeting and share with you any valuable information they can share about their organization and the importance of the ice arena to them. This is obviously not an easy topic to talk about. We have a very old facility that a consultant has informed us is going to cost a lot of money to fix and make it last for future generations. So it's not an easy topic to talk about when, the city, doesn't have $3, $4, $5 million laying around just to make it happen, at snap of a finger. So, but it's important to understand the value of the rink to our community, the quality of life that it brings, and I don't know how we can do that without hearing from the people that physically use the facility. So they are here tonight. We asked them to make sure they keep it under an hour and a half each group. No. We asked them to try to condense and be brief, in the fairness of time, of everyone's time. And also, too, just so everyone does understand, on this agenda topic, it is a discussion item. So for people out watching in, technology land, there is no action tonight. All we are trying to do is gain information about the ice rink and its core users, and for you to have as much information as possible in the coming months when decisions do have to be made.
Thanks, Marty.
That's it.
You don't have a slide with the 3 questions you posed our user groups, do you?
No.
That's
Sorry.
right. If I would have thought of it a few days ago, I would have asked you to queue that up. So it's on me as well. But I think we'll be able to hear from the user groups, and I think the prompts you asked them to cover, I'm sure will come out clearly as they speak. So at this time, I'd ask for a motion to open the meeting so we can hear from user groups.
I'll move to open the meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're in open session, which means that the public can speak with us, and we can ask perhaps clarifying questions, but we don't want to get into a dialogue. Grace has a speakers list here, so I'll just start with that list, and when we empty that list, we'll see if there's anyone else who wishes to speak. Mike Thompson, is Mike here? Would you please, and for every speaker who comes forward for the public record, when you sit down, please state your name and your address clearly for the record, please.
All right. My name's Mike Thompson. My address is 1627 Colony Drive in De Pere.
And the group you're with, Mike, is?
Good evening. I'm here representing De Pere Youth Hockey, a program that plays a crucial role in our community. While you may already be familiar with the sport, I want to underscore the significant benefit it offers to our youth athletes. Hockey provides numerous advantages that make it an invaluable asset to our community. The program helps local youth develop essential physical, mental, and social skills. Through participation, children not only improve their physical fitness, but also learn critical life skills such as teamwork, communication, self-confidence, leadership, integrity, and respect. These qualities are instilled through hard work and dedication, preparing our youth to become well-rounded individuals and future leaders within our community. Maintaining the De Pere Ice Arena ensures that these opportunities continue to thrive, benefiting not only our youth athletes, but our entire community. The De Pere Youth Hockey Program currently serves over 200 athletes each season, both boys and girls, ranging from ages 4 to 15. This marks a significant increase from even a decade ago, when the program supported fewer than 70 children. Looking ahead, we anticipate continued growth driven by rising interest, particularly among entry-level skaters who can participate in our program for up to a decade before entering the high school hockey program. Our commitment to the growth of our youth hockey is evident through our successful Try Hockey for Free events held twice annually, and our Learn to Skate programs offered 3 to 4 times a year, consistently drawing large numbers of participants from the community. In fact, due to our increasing number of younger players, we're planning to add an additional team for our 9 to 10-year-olds this year. The De Pere Youth Hockey Program serves as the foundational pathway for developing talented athletes who contribute to our high school hockey program. This cooperative effort combines players from both the De Pere and West De Pere school districts, highlighting the integral role our youth program plays in preparing players for the high school programs. Youth hockey is a cornerstone of our community, and the De Pere Ice Arena plays a crucial role in supporting this beloved program. Maintaining our ice rink is not just about preserving a facility, it's about safeguarding a generational asset that is irreplaceable to our community. The De Pere Youth Hockey Organization and its members take pride in our program and are committed to the ice rink where our children spend a significant amount of time. The organization has enhanced our concessions offerings, our technology to support our concession stands. We've purchased a commercial-grade skate sharpener that benefits all De Pere skaters, and supported, as Marty had shown on the screen, we supported the annual fee increases to help offset the cost of the rink chiller, which now, obviously in the last year or so, is paid in full. Our community regularly comes together to volunteer at the rink, to prepare the sand for ice insulation, maintain acceptable interior moisture levels during the off-season, so obviously we don't get mold in the building and have those continuing issues. We host rink cleanup in the spring, as well as in preparation for the new season to start every year. further demonstrating our dedication not only to our youth athletes, but to the rink in which supports our youth athletes. The current growth rate of De Pere youth hockey necessitates increased ice time to support all of our teams. The De Pere Ice Arena is a critical facility that provides a home for our players to practice, play games, and host tournaments. Without the De Pere Ice Arena, we'd not have a home for these activities. We have been instructed that even with the additional sheet of ice at Cornerstone, which is in the works to be built, that facility would only meet about 25% of the needed ice time for the stakeholders that currently use the De Pere Ice Arena. That means 75% of what our skaters need for all of our stakeholders would not be supported. So without a robust youth program, to develop essential skills, our high school program will struggle to maintain enough players to continue as a co-op team serving both school districts on each side of the river. A dedicated place to play ensures that these developmental benefits remain accessible to all, supporting the overall growth and well-being of our community. The rink is not just vital to our players and families, it also benefits the broader community. Visiting teams, spectators, and our own players and families frequent local businesses such as restaurants, hotels, gas stations, and other small enterprises within the city of De Pere. Our games drive significant traffic to establishments like Starbucks, Dunkin', Quick Trip, Uncle Mike's, Jimmy John's, Subway, Festival Foods, the list goes on. In addition, De Pere Youth Hockey advertises for locally owned businesses within the ice rink, as well as our website and social media channels. Our organization, players, and families are deeply committed to partnering with the city to ensure the longevity of De Pere Ice Arena. We see the potential for enhancing the rink by making it ADA compliant and incorporating a cement floor that would enable year-round ice. In addition to accessibility, this would provide an opportunity for year-round revenue and further development opportunities for skaters. The organization is committed to working with you to identify the best plan forward. Our athletes have made and will continue to make the required investment to excel at a sport they love. I am confident that we will demonstrate to our youth athletes the same commitment to invest in their dreams. Hockey isn't just a sport. It is an experience that molds young players beyond the rink. I'd like to close by sharing the message the organization shares within our website at depereyouthhockey.org. Our mission statement, started in 1972, our mission is to teach leadership, teamwork, and sportsmanship in a positive environment where we celebrate the successes of our young athletes and promote a lifelong love of the sport. These are skills that our youth will carry into adolescence and adulthood, benefiting them and our community for years to come. Yep. that last clip there.
How
that
much I
last-
weigh is nobody's business.
Eric Hovke thinks that if you're
That was not part of the physical.
I had nothing to do with that.
So that last clip, not the weight loss clip, but the one prior, that, as you can see, that was hosted at the Pere Ice Arena. That was last year. That was for a state title in Wisconsin for our Pee Wee C team. And as you can see by their reaction, that team at the Pere Ice Arena, they won state. So, I mean, that's huge. That'll never be taken away. That's just a wonderful memory for them children. So what I want to say is thank you for your time and consideration. We hope you share our vision and commitment to keeping the De Pere Ice Arena a vibrant part of De Pere that continues to provide generations of youth hockey to our local community and its visitors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Does anybody have questions for Mike? No. All right, thank you, sir. Next on our speakers list is Willie Burkholz.
Hello, my name is Willie Burkholz, 3271 Barkwood Circle, De Pere. I'm here currently serving my second appointment as board president of the Voyagers High School Hockey Booster Club. Previously in 2018 to 21 and then currently. I'm also a former high school activities and athletics director who oversaw the hockey program for high school for Green Bay United. I'd like to thank Marty Kozbaki, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, for including us in the ongoing discussions around the sustainability of the ice arena. To the De Pere and West De Pere School District Activities and Athletics Directors, Jeff Bizek, who is here this evening, and Scott Eggert. And to all of our user groups seated behind us in this effort, De Pere Youth Hockey, Green Bay Figure Skaters, the Deacons, and ourselves. When asked to speak on behalf of our user groups, we chose to speak on the following topics: the history, participation, rink use, fees, our booster club, and most importantly, our why. So the history of high school hockey, the inception in 1972 of De Pere Youth Hockey as part of WAHA, which is Wisconsin Amateur Hockey Association. Again, the high school portion was called the De Pere Cavaliers until 1996. At that time became the De Pere Voyagers until present day. The WIA sanctioned high school hockey in 2007, which began school funding to the program, previously unfunded by the local schools. Past, present, and future participation. Going back to 2013, as Mike previously spoke about youth hockey, our organization did the same. 2013, 37 skaters. 2019, 45 skaters. 2024, 44 skaters. Again, 40 plus skaters for high school hockey in each of the last 10 years. To facilitate, again, that growth of 200 plus skaters annually in De Pere youth hockey. This differently includes Wrightstown, Denmark, Bellevue, but 90% of those skaters are East and West De Pere residents. 100% of the skaters in the high school program are De Pere residents. Again, not eligible for school choice as to the growing sizes of East and West De Pere. Again, we're limited on what we can do within those programs. Rink use. DPIA, the induction in 1972, as others have stated. The high school team was WAHA until 2007. 14.5 weekly hours in season, roughly, is the use for our high school program, months of November through March. 2 times weekly, 3:30 to 6 p.m., 1 time weekly, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m., 1 time weekly, 8:45 to 10 p.m., 1 time weekly, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then 12 times throughout the season where we have our games, roughly 4 hours at a time. So with those facts, you can see our athletes are not steadily participating at a regular time of the day, rather random due to the availability or limited availability of the ice time for all of the user groups. Out of the season, we have roughly 3 hours on ice 2 times a weekly in the months of April, September, and October. At other times, our skaters are participating at the Cornerstone. Annual fees. The high school hockey budget, represented through the high school and activities directors from both buildings, is roughly $34,000. This includes coaching stipends, roughly $16,000, officials and event supervision, roughly $5,000, transportation, roughly $11,000, general supplies, entry fees, coaching clinics, roughly $2,500. Again, roughly $37 from the high school. In addition, uniform rotation occurs every third year. If you're familiar with the sport of hockey, it's rough, and often additional uniforms, whether that be practice jerseys, socks, sweaters, are needed in addition to what the high school is able to provide. Therefore, skaters and family budgets, which is an estimated 2/3 of the cost of an annual participation in the program, we have in-season ice rental fees roughly $40,000 for the high school program. Seasonal ice fees are roughly $1,100 per skater. This goes directly to our time at DPIA. Miscellaneous costs, again, they can range anywhere depending on broken sticks or need for new skates or all of those types of things. Roughly $700 a year over a 4-year cycle. Our off-season ice rental is roughly $250 per skater. Again, this is, we participate over at the Cornerstone due to the ice being taken out of DPIA. Needless to say, our hockey families must be all in due to the financial commitment and the need to rent a non-school-based ice facility. Here's where the strong network of committed hockey fans come into play. Our Voyager Booster Club. Priority is fundraising to offset skater fees. It's intended as a support of annual operational budgets. We have community contributions like the Pink Flamingo, Celebrate De Pere, Memorial Day Parade, and being participants of the De Pere Youth Hockey Feeder events. We cover as needed fees. Again, our past willingness to partner with Brown County Ice Management and the City of De Pere has been evident. As was previously stated by Marty, in 2011 with the failure of the chiller, and then 2018, again, the breakdown, the surcharges were taken upon by user groups, us included. In 2014, there was a Zamboni failure. Again, approximately 50% of those costs needed were covered by surcharges and user groups such as us. So the program stakeholders take most pride in the De Pere Voyager High School locker room. As Marty had stated previously, partnership with St. Norbert College, the De Pere Deacons, our head coach, J.P. Capo, as part of both of those groups in the past. Acquisition from the SNC locker room in 2022, 2/3 of the east end of the ice arena is under ownership of the De Pere High School Booster Club. Investment in upgrades and maintenance is estimated to date at $52,187 since 2019. Recently, the Deacons and the Voyagers secured an additional donation to install 2 new heating units, roughly $40,000 in parts and labor. Again, thank you to the Deacons for that. User groups hold quarterly budget and maintenance meetings to ensure available funds in our new lease agreement for things like utilities, roof maintenance, common areas, and most recently, water heaters failed. So $44 is our cost to get those replaced. Here's our why. The De Pere High School Voyagers program is dedicated to partnering with the City of De Pere, the Parks Board, and the management teams in transparent and open communication around sustainability, improvement, long-term planning, and fulfillment obligations. Our history at DPIA and that of ongoing financial commitment is proof to you that we take pride in calling DPIA our home ice. Without DPIA, the Voyagers High School Hockey Program would cease to exist due to the lack of ice time, as Mike stated previously, and locker room facility space elsewhere locally. Additionally, as a feeder program, DP Youth Hockey would not have the opportunity or moreover interest to promote and continue to grow skater potential, resulting in continued success at our high school level. Our program's 12-year participation data and most recently 5-year upward trend, combined with passionate skaters, dedicated families, and community supporters in both De Pere Youth Hockey and the high school program, only strengthen the rationale to sustain and upgrade DPIA as a collective effort. In closing, thank you to the City of Board Park Commissioners for allowing us to advocate from our lens as respective user groups, for your interest in ongoing research into investment and sustainability options, for your commitment to the taxpayers of De Pere, and for collective accountability to this facility to fulfill ice-based activities for our youth and community. Again, we take pride in calling DPA our home ice. We're hopeful with time and greater insight, you too will agree. Stay Voyagers strong.
Thank you.
Questions?
Anyone? Nope, we're good. David Lepp, I believe, is up next.
Hello, I'm David Lepp. I own a home on 1403 Quinette Lane. I live at 1408 Argonne in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm with the De Pere Deacons hockey team. The De Pere Deacons hockey team has been playing at the De Pere Ice Arena, let's say the rink, okay? So since 1977. And I was also, the Deacons were also ice time management when we ran the rink for 11 years. So we know all the ups and downs of an ice rink. Like I said, we've been here since 1977. And everybody knows about the locker rooms that we partnered with St. Norbert. Marty got into that. We also, now we're basically partners with the De Pere Voyager Booster Club. And we also know about unexpected expenses. So, and we recently, I don't know if Willie said anything, but 2 years ago we signed a 20-year agreement, a lease agreement with the city of De Pere. We use the rink from October to the end of March. We've had multiple league tournaments here, and actually we're in line in 2 years to have the league tournament by us. What would happen with the rink for us? Well, those locker rooms are a big draw for these young players coming out of high school or junior hockey. If you go on our website, you can see what our locker room looks like game day. No different than the Packers. Jerseys are lined up, socks are out, the players walk in. Wow. We had this past season, we grabbed a couple more kids out of Bay Park because their buddies are saying, God, you gotta look at our rink, look at our locker room game day. So, what would the loss be for the city? I look at our ice rink as I look at the pool system. It's a resource that we need. And we all need to get together to make our resources better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Next on the speakers list, I believe, is Carl Black.
Those are tough acts to follow. So my name is Carl Black. I'm the president of the Greater Green Bay Figure Skating Club, so I represent the other type of athlete that utilizes the ice at De Pere. Some background, I mean,
Carl,
I'm sorry.
I hate to interrupt, but could you give us your address for the...
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
That's right.
225 Skyline Drive. I live in Francis Creek, Wisconsin.
Thank
We'll
you.
let it slide.
What's that? So some history with Greater Green Bay. Our figure skating club has been around in one capacity or another in various forms since about 1973. You know, our current membership is composed of 40 to 50 full members, which includes skaters, coaches, introductory members. We have some families that have up to 3 skaters and many families that only have 1 skater. Some skaters aren't full families. They're adults that utilize our figure skating club and the De Pere ice. These families and these skaters use anywhere from 2 to about 10 hours of the De Pere ice a week. We currently have 16 coaches. These coaches, all of whom rely on additional income that they make for their families from coaching. A couple of them rely solely on their income as a coach. Also rely on the opportunity to, utilize the De Pere ice. Talking about growth, very similar to the hockey programs, our Learn to Skate program and our club has been growing somewhat exponentially. Learn to Skate, a number of years ago, if you went back 8 years ago, 9 years ago, we had approximately about 80 to 100 skaters experience our Learn to Skate program through the year. The last 2 years, our club and our Learn to Skate program was awarded membership awards of over 300 skaters per year. So 300 people per year within the community utilizing a Learn to Skate program. There is a strong desire to get out there and do some things on ice. If you look at that over, those 300 skaters, and you look at the historical data for at least the last 8 years, that's 2,000 individuals just in our Learn to Skate program alone. And the Learn to Skate program feeds the figure skating club, those 40 to 50 families and individuals that utilize the program. I heard talks about the revenue that these organizations bring to the area through competitions, camps, shows, other events. These all bring revenue. I should say other events that the figure skating club hosts. These also bring revenue to the area. Moving, I kind of organized mine then. Moving to concerns. Shutting down De Pere could effectively end the Greater Green Bay Figure Skating Club, at least as it exists now, and in our area. Our club is a very revered club. If you speak to U.S. Figure Skating and mention Greater Green Bay Figure Skating Club, almost anybody you speak to there knows of the club and speaks in high regard of the club. And they've had that reputation for a number of years. Although Cornerstone, will at some point have that 4th rink, we also, were told that it could absorb about 25% of the current ice being used at De Pere. And again, to reiterate, 25% of the current ice being used at De Pere, absorbed into Cornerstone isn't going to keep these organizations in the same shape and form that they are now, which are prospering organizations, bringing experiences to youth and adults on the ice. Our hope is that you'll see the value in the programs, such as those utilized in De Pere, see great value in them, and just as importantly, see the value those programs bring to the community, youth and adults, and the families. I would say, as an organization, we are willing to be involved in the process to keep De Pere open, and to, in the renovation process that happens. And we believe that we can all commit to creatively work together to make that happen. I can't express enough, I guess, in closing, that in the short amount of time that we have here tonight, it's very difficult to express how valuable this ice time is to our skaters. This is where these kids go to find their joy, their happy place. Adults as well, we have adult members. And they experience, social, emotional, physical growth, teamwork. It just helps them develop into incredible human beings. Every year at our annual ice show, I'm in awe as I watch our graduating seniors speak about their experience, their gratitude to the community and the families, and their family as well, usually, and then what they're going off to do next. And that speaks volume for the experiences that these organizations are providing the youth of this area. So yeah, thank you for the time and for your commitment to continue to, help these organizations have ice at the De Pere rink and bring these experiences to these kids and adults.
Thank you, Carl.
Questions?
Anyone? We're good? That's it, right?
Yep.
Our speakers list is currently exhausted. If there's anyone else in the gallery who would like to address the board, Don, please step forward.
Don Chilson, I'm the manager at the De Pere Ice Arena and the Cornerstone Community Center, 1640 Fernando Drive. As you've seen tonight, it's obviously more than just a building. It's a community center for everybody who utilizes it. It's a huge draw to the De Pere area, and it gives you some great exposure from all the groups and that come to visit De Pere every weekend to participate in any of the events and games that go on there. As Brown County Ice Management, you know, our mission is to make sure we're providing ice for all the user groups in Brown County, not just De Pere and not just in Green Bay. And the De Pere Ice Center, the current user groups of all of Brown County can't survive without that ice center. There's just not enough ice to go on around. And, you know, even with the expansion that's going on at the Cornerstone, that's a lot of that ice is being spoken for by the growth that's happened in all these groups. So these groups all utilize ice, not just at the De Pere Ice Center, but then they also use what they can't get here over at the Cornerstone. The De Pere Ice Center, it's an old building. It's got great bones. You know, you've got a lot of old equipment in there, but that equipment the heat turns on every day, you know. Everything works. The most expensive things have been taken care of over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, some of them had to get taken care of twice. But when we did the last replacement with the chiller barrel meltdown, we made some upgrades that's going to ensure that stuff lasts a lot longer than it did the last time. We've done some work on the floor itself that had some problems, and we invested over the $10,000 limit into that to make sure that the ice was in good shape all the way around. And then because it's a sand floor, repairs to that sand floor are easier than if it was a concrete one at this point with the age that it's at. So keeping that place operating, at least in the next 10 years, should not be a problem. We can't do anything with the ADA stuff right off the bat, just because, you know, we're bound in by the bricks and mortars that are there from that building. But I just want you all to know that it's obviously a very loved building. It's a completely different. If you spent a weekend in there or even a weekday evening in there, you'd find out that it's a very important place. It's a living, breathing place for all these people. And if anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks, Don.
Great,
Appreciate
thanks.
it. Anyone else wish to address the board? Final call. Is there anyone in technology in the internet world that I cannot see on my screen that would like to address the board? All right, a motion to go back into closed session is in order.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We're back in closed session or regular order. All right. Any other discussion from the board at this time? Jim?
I know this is going to take quite a while to discuss this over weeks or months or whatever. It's a big deal. But I wanted to give Marty a little homework. Few things to look for and maybe gather in the coming weeks or months. Is it possible to explain the 20-year lease agreement that was mentioned that started 2 years ago? What that
With the locker
involves
room.
and-
We
it's
can.
just with the locker room.
A land lease?
Yes, yeah, there's two different lease agreements. There's one with Brown County Ice Management to operate the facility. Then there's a lease agreement with the Deacons and De Pere Voyager Hockey Club for the locker room.
And
And the 20-year that Mr. Burkholz was talking about was with regard to the locker room.
does that have an impact on what
I'd have to
happens
go,
with the ice center?
I mean, I don't have the agreement right under
Yeah,
me.
that's
So,
what I'm-
yeah, we would have to take a look at that and see.
Yeah, maybe look at that. And then when you were mentioning who pays for what, it got a little bit confusing and there were no numbers there, Marty. And I'm wondering if can you come up with an analysis that shows what the cost to city taxpayers is every year going back?
I guess I'm unclear on your question.
How much is all of this costing city taxpayers? What's coming out of the city coffers? Because it's not really clear how much is being spent by the city and how much is being spent by the groups that are doing the maintenance and.
Or how much is coming out of the fund?
Yeah.
Like a budget sheet from the different, because we just saw expenses.
Yeah, I can try to put some stuff together, but, there's going to be a lot of expenses that were not done by, so like repair expenses done by Brown County S Management. That's part of their operation. The expenses that we had listed with our finance department going back to 2006, those are definitive expenses. We obviously have documentation on. What we would have to do if the question is, how much did the city, say, borrow for to do these versus utilizing the Ice Arena Fund? Because the Ice Arena Fund, remember, let's go back, the Ice Arena Fund, it is money that was supplemented by the management fee over the years.
Yeah, it just seems really hard to get an idea of what's taxpayer expense over the years as opposed to all the money that the groups have put into it. I just kind of like to get a handle on, is it not costing us very much as a city?
Yeah, we'll have to go back through, some of the problem we'll have is like and I'm not sure where the cutoff is, but some of the records we have from the management fee, because even going back to Ice Time Management, they were required to submit year-end reports that showed the management fee. So we can go back and document, some of the stuff is no longer online anymore. So, we can get back so far and find out what the managed fee has been paid and how that impacted the expenses we had. So we can do that. Now, one of the things I'm probably not going to be able to do is the kind of the ancillary expenses. As I mentioned, we are in charge of mowing the grass, the utilities, plowing the snow, doing all those things. That's going to be really tough to give you a number when it comes to that.
Well, you can imagine when we read this report, there's sticker shock with the repairs that need to be done. So I'd just like to get a better handle on, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. And even moving forward, how can we work with the groups to pay a good portion of all of these things that need to be done? So anything you can do along those lines.
Sure.
And I understand it's an ongoing situation. And then the last question is, I'd like to pin down, if you could request from the user groups, their residency of their current membership. How many people are actually in the city of De Pere? How many are in Bellevue, Lawrence, Ledgeview? To see if we can explore cooperative support if many of these users are not actually city taxpayers. Because somebody who lives in Bellevue, for example, is not contributing anything through their taxes for any of these ongoing expenses. And just like to underscore sticker shock, because it's kind of a surprise when you see everything listed. Here's what needs to be done, and here's how much it costs. And I just like to have a better idea as we move forward.
Yep, we can work on that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Marty? Or tasks for Marty? Connor?
Easy.
Kind of a task, depends on how it goes. So I think the comparison to the pool networks, the two pools that we have, is a fair comparison. Do you know off the top of your head if we run the ledger on the pool red, figuratively, or not? Like, is that paid for by itself, or does the city constantly put money into it like the ice rink?
So that is a very that is a very good, very deep question that's not as very easy to answer. So in comparison's sake, when you compare the pool and the ice rink, when you look at what the facilities are doing for the community, I think you're absolutely right. They both have the same similar value to quality of life.
And they're both
That's kind of where comparisons end, unfortunately, because both facilities are handled in a completely different financial manner. So our pools, through the process, are now funded basically through a referendum that occurred. So not only are our capital costs funded by the referendum, also our operating costs are funded by the referendum. The ice rink, the city for many years has chosen to, the city has tried not to be in the ice rink business, and their mechanism to help keep the rink alive was that management fee that was paid by essentially the users and the management company. So the operating deficit, I can tell you, like for both pools, depending on the year and depending on hardships and whatever, ranges anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 a year, as far as a subsidy. But that money is not necessary. But that money is actually funded by the referendum. So I probably confused a lot of people.
To be fair, though, prior to the referendum, it was completely subsidized by
That
the
is
taxpayers' dollars.
100% correct. Yes.
Completely.
Yep. Before the referendum, then the comparisons got a little bit similar.
I apologize. Can you tell me what the referendum is exactly? I'm kind of lost.
Well, a real quick definition, the city basically voted to add to the city tax roll $900,000 a year to fund not only the construction of 2 new pools in VFW and Legion, but also the operation of them. So there's basically $900,000 earmarked every year strictly and solely for operation and construction of our outdoor pools.
Okay.
We don't have that, unfortunately, for our ice rink.
I think what would be a useful metric, and of course it's not going to be exact, these numbers are going to be very rough, but it'd be good to see them stacked up against each other. Per user, what is the cost to the city of the Pier for the ice rink facility and the pools facility? I think that would be a good comparison.
Another good question. I have to think about that because I think that number is going to be very skewed.
Yeah.
Because we're not including the operational budget of Brown County Ice Management. Again, we're not in the business of running a rink, but that's an applicable cost towards a per user charge.
Because, like you were saying before, it's very easy to get sticker shock with all of these, and it's kind of confusing because, some of these were half paid by us and half with groups, and some of them were reimbursed by groups fully, but some of them were all us, and it's nice to get metrics that are clear and concise. That's basically what I'm asking you for.
Going back to Mr. Kneissel's question, we will go back through the management fee and the costs and try to give an actual breakdown of what physically came from the management fee for expenses, and then what was above and beyond the management fee, which would have came from the city tax roll to fund. And then we can go to step 2 after that, I guess.
What's step 2?
I'm not sure yet.
Other questions from the board for Marty?
Step 2 for another meeting.
Ryan?
I guess I'd just like to say, it seems like the current surcharge that's building up is actually a really positive thing to have in place, because it does set the basis for the ability, it sets up that relationship where if the city is able to draw a significant bond, there is a mechanism to pay that back. So that's a really positive place that we're in, that we're not in a lot of other things. And it would be also really helpful in once we start understanding what direction this is all going, whether it's repair and refurbishment or if it's replace, it would be also helpful to know if there is a strong group that is willing to fundraise significant private donations to bring that in, such as we did with the Nelson Pavilion and the Riverwalk and other massive projects that we've undertaken.
Marty's good at fundraising.
No, I'm not.
Shayna, did you have another?
I guess realistically, this is a discussion item. For you, what would the next step be other than what we've tasked you with? I mean, at what point do we sit down and go through this study and say, feasibly, like, this is how we could do this and this is how we could?
Yeah, so ultimately the park board needs to give some direction on where to go. And you have a number of choices. Now, some I will say are very realistic, some are a choice, and I don't think they're realistic. But, you can do nothing. You can just let it keep being what it is and wait to the next big bad thing that breaks. That could be next week, that could be in 3 years, who knows. You could look at, I don't want anyone to throw butter knives at me, but an option that I would never obviously recommend, but you could look at closing the facility, considering how much is needed to fund it. You could look at selling the facility. Again, would I sit here and say that's a great option? No, but that is an option. Another option is to blow it up and start over, right? I mean, completely rebuild. And then another option, which if you're going to ask me, if you're ever going to come around to ask me what my recommendation would be is to, if you looked at the fine print from our consultant, is to basically rip the front off of the building and rebuild that, and that cures 95% of your ADA problems. That to me seems like the wisest choice. How do you get there, though, is another, a whole nother, round of discussions. That would be my preference, sure, but again, it's not my choice, technically speaking. So the park board has to really, figure out, which direction would you like to go? And obviously, what we're trying to do is give you as much information as possible, because I think it's important.
And I think as we move forward, I think one of the key pieces that we haven't really addressed yet is, after the folks in the gallery have heard the options, what types of things do they find most palatable, and what do they find most unacceptable?
At some point, park board will have to make a recommendation of which direction to go, just like we did with Legion Pool, or with our pools. I mean, at some point you have to make a decision which way to go. Then we do our doggone best to try to execute that direction, and then we go from there.
But there is no immediate timeline needed. So if it takes Marty a couple of months, it takes him a couple of months. What I would ask is, when this gets back on the agenda, we need to make sure we share with our stakeholders that it's back on the agenda. So.
One thing I just want to clarify, to kind of build on what Connor was saying, is that facilities like that, they don't need to necessarily, the pools, the rinks, they don't need to generate so much, like they're not huge revenue generators, but it's about how much risk the city and users are willing to take on, and the reward of the use, the benefit to the community. All those things matter. I mean, if you were to look at a pool, quite honestly, anywhere in Wisconsin, it operates 3 months of the year. It's kind of crazy that we have pools, but they add so much value to your city. So you're not looking at it as how much revenue it'll drive. It's how much does it benefit the community, and how much risk are you willing to take on as a city to maintain it.
Other questions, comments, or tasks for Marty? Otherwise, as this is a discussion item, if the discussion is ended, we'll move on.
I think the next step, just so, because people will be like, well, what is next? I think the next step was, we will do this research that you've tasked of us. The likelihood is that I will bring it back. I'll obviously talk with our chair, Randy, and we'll confer. And my guess is that it'll come back again as a discussion item, Because, I don't think it's fair to ask you to make action until you are all very comfortable with the information and where to go. So I think the next time it'll still be a discussion. You won't be asked to be making any action. And then we'll continue the information gathering. And then hopefully at some point get to a point where you're comfortable to start looking at which direction do we go with this.
Thanks, Marty. Last call. Okay, moving on. Item 4, future agenda items. Does anyone have future agenda items that they'd like to have brought forward? If not, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We are adjourned.